Most Stranger Things agree that Season 1 was a genuine horror mystery. It made us fear the unknown and slowly unraveled the layers, explaining what really happened at Hawkins' lab, and the payoff in the season finale was incredible. But ever since we binged the latest season, we can all agree that Season 4 dialed the horror up to 11. So in this video, let's look at 10 of the scariest moments in Season 4, starting with number 10. Vecna pays Chrissy a visit. We knew that we were in for something darker when Chrissy entered the girls' bathroom in episode 1. She sees a haunting vision of her past and gets her first visit from Vecna in the form of her mother's verbal abuses. Fast forward to Eddie's trailer, Chrissy has yet another vision, but this time it's different. She sees her mom with a sewing machine, but her face looks haunted and you can see a bit of Vecna sticking out. One of the more startling moments occurs when she runs to her dad, only to find his eyes and mouth sewn shut. That scene genuinely shook us. And then Vecna shows up, and we all knew he was immediately more terrifying than anything that came before. His slow walk and repulsive squelching noises made our skin crawl. He tells her that her pain's going to end and places a long-fingered hand on her face. In real life, Eddie watches in horror as Chrissy lifts into the air. What makes it more gut-wrenching is that the arms and legs bend in ways no human should be able to bend them, snapping like twigs. And right when it's too much to take in, her eyes implode, being crushed by Vecna. That's a whole new level of horror for the series, and it didn't hold back. At number 9, Fred Benson has visions of the past. So now that the threat of Vecna was well established, the second episode built on it. The reason why Vecna became so scary is that he's more powerful than Freddy Krueger. He'll get you whether you're awake or asleep. The second episode drove that point home. Nancy and Fred, a new face in the series, start investigating the death of Chrissy. They make their way to Eddie and Max's trailer park, only for Fred to start getting the same visions the cheerleader was getting. And we all knew he was a dead teen walking. Vecna shows him visions of his car accident from the previous year, honing in on his trauma. And like anyone else, Fred makes a run for it. But we know that he's stuck in his own mind, coming across the body of his dead friend whose face is crawling with spiders. And then Vecna ends his suffering in the same way he did Chrissy's, in a bone-snapping, eye-popping, mentally scarring way. Up next is number 8. Hopper and Enzo fight a Demogorgon. We've got to give props to the VFX department for this one, because 6 years later, they've managed to make the Demogorgon scarier than ever. Vecna's one thing, but the way the Demogorgon's jaws open remains terrifying to this day. In episode 7, Hopper, Enzo, and the rest of the prisoners are forced to fight the beast that the Russians have held in their base. And we're not sure if it's the increased budget or whether the VFX artists got a lot of breathing room, but the creature looks gnarlier than we've seen it before. Every slimy movement made us as creeped out by it as Hopper. At number 7, it's Max's first encounter with Vecna. Other than having us on the edge of our seats, Dear Billy was probably the best episode in Season 4. It sets up the stakes in an organic way, leading to a payoff that had us crying from relief. But before the climactic ending, we see Max freeze mid-sentence in the same manner that Chrissy and Fred did. Fans were immediately tweeting that if anything happened to her, they'd lose their minds, us included. Max gets stuck in the Upside Down, coming across the mutilated corpses of both Chrissy and Fred. She even gets pinned by Vecna to a wall, and just as he's about to end her suffering, Max hears Kate Bush's running up that hill and sees an opening from somewhere ahead. Then, it's a mad dash towards the friend she loves the most, all while dodging slabs of stone falling from above. It was easily the most intense moment in the series. For number 6, Vecna pretends to be Max's mom. In this scene, the kids have figured out that Max is Vecna's next victim, and they need a plan to save her. But Max starts preparing herself for her death by writing goodbye letters to all her loved ones, including her mom. She stops at her trailer to give her family the letters and finds her mom doing laundry outside. What starts as a heartfelt moment becomes a Freddy Krueger-inspired nightmare. The clouds turn gray and the laundry starts dripping with blood. Max's mom turns around and slowly morphs into Vecna, letting her know that she deserves to die. Chills. Coming in at number 5, Nancy discovers Barb in the Upside Down. It's a brief scene, but it's still one of the creepier ones in the series. Just before one tells Nancy his journey to becoming Vecna, Nancy gets the same hallucinations that everyone's been getting throughout the season. But this time it's a little different because one wants to warn her of what's coming. First, he starts taunting her over Barb's death, and then just as Nancy's about to break, one pushes her over the edge by showing her what remains of her friend. Barb was pulled into the swimming pool and was killed in the same manner as the rest of Vecna's victims. She's stuck to the side with bugs crawling out of holes in her face. It's gruesome and makes you feel terrified of what happened to poor Barb. This scene is Stranger Things body horror at its grossest. Next is number 4, story time with Victor Creel. Nancy and Robin sneak their way into the Penhurst Mental Hospital to interview Victor. It already feels like things won't go well, and Robert Englund's performance as Victor made it clear why the Duffer Brothers picked him. As Victor, he's both intimidating and sympathetic, and that's right up the show's alley. He's a man who's lost everything, and due to his traumatic past, he sewed his eyes shut. In Hannibal Lecter fashion, he's in a straitjacket and behind bars, and the girls get a first-hand account of what happened to his family in the 50s. Victor's story of how he ended up at Penhurst is terrifying. terrifying. It feels like a Conjuring-style haunting of a wealthy family and includes some gnarly body horror that we've come to expect from the series. For us in particular, the most messed up scene was the baby's cradle in the fireplace. We still get nightmares. At number 3, it's the massacre at Hawkins' lab. Project Nina is an important subplot of the series, and it's where Elle's powers start coming back. But as a result, so do her traumatic memories of what really happened at Hawkins' lab in 1979. In Elle's memory, one reveals himself as Henry Creel, the son of Victor Creel. He's the one responsible for putting Victor in Penhurst. Right then, Elle gets a flashback of the corpses of her brothers and sisters in the playing room. She realizes that it wasn't her who killed them, but Henry himself. One goes from someone she can trust to a terrifying murderer in a few seconds, showing just how dangerous and manipulative he was. The scene split between Nancy's time in the Upside Down and Elle's memory, but nothing comes close to the horrifying image of Elle's dead brothers and sisters. In second place, Steve gets pulled into the Upside Down. The reason why we love Steve is that he'll sacrifice himself whenever he gets a chance. After all, he's the mother hen of the group now, especially Dustin. He'll do anything to protect them, and that makes his brush with death even scarier to watch. We've seen how bad it can get in the Upside Down now that Vecna's at full power, so when Steve jumps into the lake to search for the portal, we know something's gonna go wrong. He's successfully able to resurface, but he lingers a little too long. We kept screaming at our TV saying, "Just get out of there and talk, Steve." But right then, a tentacle grabs his leg and drags him into the Upside Down. What made this scene scarier is that fans were theorizing that the Duffers would kill Steve in this season, so when the Demobats swarmed around him and began biting him, we were too scared to breathe. Finally, number 1, Max almost becomes Vecna's 4th kill. The second time's always the worst, isn't it? In an effort to kill Vecna once and for all, Max puts her life on the line and tries to lure him out. But when have things ever gone well for our favorite characters? Elle tries saving Max, but is a little too late. Vecna grabs Max's face in his gnarled-looking hand and lifts her off the ground. We see her limbs snap the same way Chrissy's did, and just as her eyes are about to explode, Elle's able to beat Vecna. Fans knew that Max wouldn't be the same anymore, and from what it looked like in the end, she's probably lost in the Upside Down. Only Season 5 can answer that mystery. And that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for watching. So, what was Season 4's scariest moment? Did we miss any that were scarier? Tell us down below. And if you'd like more Stranger Things content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more. We'll see you in the next one.